Well, hello, all you cool cats and kittens. My name is Brad. Welcome to my BIO181 online class. It'll be an 8-week course, so we're going to have to condense this stuff down really quick. This is my first online class I've taught, fully online. Obviously, we did this last semester for the coronavirus. You have my phone number down there at the bottom. Please don't abuse it, but you are welcome to call or text me during normal hours. I'm happy to talk to you and answer your questions. Okay. Who am I? So I'm a singer-songwriter primarily. I have a band right now that I play in. We don't have a name, so don't ask me what it is. My old band used to be Second Stint, and my new band is made up of 3 out of the 5 members of that band. So if you want to look up Second Stint, you can look us up on Spotify. I also have some solo stuff I did called Astorian Sound. It sounds like a story in sound, but it's actually spelled Astorian, like Victorian sound. Okay, anyways, I've been doing that for a long time. 1986. Most of you guys weren't born yet, but that's when I started. I was like 4. Okay, I was an Army Ranger for... All right, never mind that little glitch. I have kids here, just so you know. This is how we deal with Corona. Anywho, I was an Army Ranger for 4 years. A long time ago. It's a different life. And let's see, when I got out of the Army, I went to school at Mesa Community College. And I got a biology degree from ASU and a master's of science from ASU. Finished that up in like 2012. And then like literally the next semester, I started teaching Bio 181. Sometime when I started grad school, I got into teaching yoga. Well, I got into yoga, and then of course, the natural consequence of that is that you get into teaching it. So, and then let's see, a couple years ago, I got into jiu-jitsu. That picture is me in January of this last year. I did a fight to win against a guy that took first in the world for my division, and I barely won, but I won. So, cheers. Okay, so let's get to the syllabus. Let's get to what we're going to do right away. So as this is an online course, it's just a little bit different than what we would normally do for lecture. Some of the things that we'll cover, right, in this course. We're going to cover how to do science, like what the scientific method is. We'll talk about the chemical basis of life. We'll talk about cell biology. Most of it is all cell biology. Metabolism of cells, photosynthesis in cells, how cells reproduce, genetics, DNA, how DNA replicates, how we make proteins from DNA transcription and RNA translation, natural selection, evolution, and then my favorite is just a brief history of this planet and life on this planet and how it evolved to get this way. So what we can look forward to. So this course is broken down into 4 units, 4 modules. So here they're listed as units. In Canvas, they're listed as modules. So module 1, we'll look at the scientific method. We'll look at natural selection, chemistry, all that good stuff, all the way up to the cell pretty much, and like cell structures and stuff like that. So we'll look at membrane function, and then you'll take a test. And then we have unit 2, and you got mostly just energy, cell respiration, metabolism, and photosynthesis. Unit 3 is all about DNA, and then Unit 4, or Module 4, is going to be about genetics, like Mendelian genetics, patterns of inheritance, natural selection, and evolution. So the modules, what I've done with them is I've broken them down into days. So you'll have like a header that says like day 1, and there'll be some like tasks to do, right? And so basically it's an idea of how much work I think you should be doing per day. Now you're more than welcome to work ahead and like get ahead in that stuff. So hold on, I'm going to pause this real quick. All right, so anyways, what I'd like you to do is, like those days are just suggestions, like how much work I think you should do, but you're always welcome to work forward. Every Friday at noon, I'm just going to host an Ask Me Anything. So this will be in the WebEx meeting room, kind of like a Zoom meeting room. I'm just going to turn it on, and you're welcome to join me. So I'll have it on in my house. I'll have my speakers on. As soon as somebody pops in, I'll come over and talk to you, and you can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about science, but that way you can at least like get to know me better. I can get to know you guys better, that kind of stuff, right? So I have a link here in these slides to the Ask Me Anything meeting room, and then the meeting ID number, the password, how you can get in and stuff. All right, so like I said, there's 4 modules, right? each module is going to have one exam at the end of it. That's the last thing you're going to do in each module before you move on to the next one. Each exam is going to be multiple choice, just like a quiz through Canvas. Each question is worth about 2.5 points. Okay. Each module is going to have 2 lecture quizzes within it. So those, again, will be another quiz. And there'll be about 10 questions, 2 points each. Okay. And they'll follow along with the lectures. Like, so like I'll have a lecture and then there'll be a quiz kind of based on that lecture. Oh, going backwards. Here we go. And then also, so we're doing online labs through McGraw-Hill, and there'll be a bunch of small labs that are interspaced throughout each module. And those online labs are virtual. We'll go over those in a little bit, but they'll be about 10 points each. Some are 5, some are 10, some are 25. And then each module will also have additional assignments, and they're pretty easy. They're just going to be small little things. Like one of them is draw a diagram of a cell and color it and label it. And discussion posts. So some you might have to do a little bit of reading and then post a discussion post. And then there'll be one additional cumulative final that'll be due on the last day. The same day that the last exam is due, the 4th exam is due, there'll also be a final exam due. And so like if you're struggling for points and your grade's not looking too good, that final exam is going to help you out because I do drop the lowest test score at the end of the semester. Okay. Some more points here. So with the lecture quizzes, there are going to be 8 of them, right? So 2 per module. 2 times 4 is 8. They're each worth 20 points. But what's good about them is that I do drop the lowest score. So if you mess up or something, or like you get, I don't know, you're like working through it and you run out of time or something, like, and that's your lowest score, that score gets dropped at the end of the semester. So that'll be about 120 points from those. And then for the lectures. So like I'm doing right now, the lectures are going to be recorded through WebEx, and I'm going to be using PowerPoints just like this and lecturing over the top of them. Occasionally, before I go to the next point, occasionally what I'm going to do is film like a video, like a YouTube video with a whiteboard and like discuss some of the concepts on a whiteboard and draw them out. That way you just have different content than just like me lecturing over the top of some pictures and words, okay? There's going to be a note sheet. Now, this is so important. There are notes sheets assigned, and they're under each module for each lecture. They have the same title as the lecture. It's a what do you call it? A document, the Google Doc. It's a Google Doc. So you can make a copy of that, or you can download that, put it on your computer. You can print it off, and then you can fill in the blanks, okay? So what I've done, and I promise you this, is that those note sheets directly reflect the questions that are on the quizzes and the exam. So use those note sheets. They're going to be so helpful for you. And so there'll be a study guide for the exam at the end of each module and also for the lecture quizzes. Like I said, I'm going to support or provide additional materials and videos throughout each module to help you with the concepts. And then finally, so there's one more thing. So there's a study group discussion, right? And it's just going to be going all year long on Canvas as a discussion board. And what I want you to do is I want you to post or comment. So you can post a question into the study group, or you can answer somebody's question from this in this study group. And I'm going to go back at the end of the year. And what I want to see is, so it's an average of 2 times per week, right? So what I'd like to see is at least once per week, right? Maybe 3 times one week, 1 time the next week. But keep track of how often you're doing it, because I'm going to go back and I'm going to count, and I'm going to look at what days you posted, and I'm going to look at how much you posted. And so at least 2 times per week, and then I'll give you 100 points for participation, which is like an easy 100 points if you think about it. Okay, labs. So labs, we'll be using McGraw-Hill Connect on Canvas. So it's a virtual lab simulator. It's virtual, so nothing replaces the tactile knowledge that you get from doing stuff hands-on in a lab. But since everyone's scared to death of this virus thing, obviously we have to make accommodations and adapt. So what you can do is you're going to need your Mesa CC EDU email to get into them, to sign into them. And you also need this code that's on this PowerPoint right here. So please use the code, plug it in, use your MCC EDU email to get in, and you should be able to get in no problem. Like, these things are pretty, like, they've made them, I won't say like they made them idiot proof, but they made them pretty easy, pretty streamlined, user friendly to get into them. Now, here's something so important. So I'm just got to emphasize this point. you have to complete the labs before the due date on the assignment, because that lab becomes locked and I can't open it back up. I don't have the capacity. I just have access to them, and so I can like assign them to you guys. And I assign due dates and stuff. But as soon as the lab, like the software they're using on their server, as soon as that due date happens, you can't get back into that lab. And so if you need to do a lab, right, or if like you're like, oh crap, I'm on vacation, I didn't even realize these labs are going to be due. Hey, you have to notify me 24 hours in advance. That way I can go in. That way it gives me time to get your message and then go in and change the extensions for you, because I can change it by student. So if you need a couple extra days to finish a lab or a module, you have to let me know 24 hours before it's due. Otherwise, it's like, I'm sorry, but you just get a 0 for that. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of online lab activities scheduled for each module. Some are short orientations, especially the ones at the beginning, right? And then others are full labs. And like I said, 5 points, 10 points, and 25 points for some of the bigger ones. The amount of lab work, so we want to make it roughly equivalent to what we're doing, what we would have been doing if we were in person. And so we would do probably 2 hours of lab twice a week. So it's about 2 to 4 hours of non-continuous lab work per week. Right, and so each module, remember, is about 2 weeks long. So you're going to be getting about 6 to 8 hours of lab work on those things, and they shouldn't take you that long. They're really not hard. And so the lab points roughly translate. They're about 240 points out of the 900 for the course. So it's about a third of your grade is from these lab points. A couple other things to point out here too for labs, and I'm looking right at you. Okay, you cannot mess up these labs. You cannot accidentally add some solution to a container and then like you have to start the whole thing over. So it's not like real life. The simulation won't let you add things to different containers that aren't supposed to go. Like, so there'll be a list of like things that you need to do, like steps to take. And it's like, pick up the scapula, cut this thing, do that. So you do the steps as they say it, and you can't do them wrong. Like, it won't let you do them wrong. So knowing that, like, as you go through them, just be like, okay, like if I accidentally click the wrong thing, it won't let me. A couple of other pointers, because I've done some of these labs. If you pick an item up and you can't set it down, click on the spot where it was, and it will set it down for you. Okay, that was one thing. I'm like, how do I get this stir rod off of my hand? And so you have to like click it into something else. So sometimes it takes a little bit to get used to that. The other thing with these labs too is sometimes it's difficult to read like some of the measurements, like exactly. Sometimes you have to mess around and say, like, if it's saying enter into your lab data, this measurement, and you're like, okay, it looks like it's 2.5 centimeters. So you type in 2.5, and it says, no, that's wrong. Well, try 2.6, try 2.4, right? Sometimes it's just a little bit off. Some of the things I did too is I front loaded. So in module 1 and on day 1, I front-loaded a lot of small, like, scientific method type labs so that you can get the hang of what we're doing and, like, click around and do them. And they're really easy. It's like taking measurements and weights and volumes and stuff. And I did that on purpose because I want you to get, like, the kind of tactile feel for it before we get into some of the more complicated labs with many steps. Also, for the labs, you can once you get through a phase, the labs are broken down into like 1 to 3 phases. Once you get through a phase in the lab, you can save and save and exit. Just don't submit it, because you can only submit it once. Once you've submitted a lab, you can't go back and do it again, and I can't open it up for you again. Okay. But other than that, like if you have any questions about the labs, feel free to reach out to me. There's also I attached like a PowerPoint in module 1 that says like how to contact IT support and stuff for the labs if you have any trouble with those. But they're pretty easy to get into, and then once you're signed in through Canvas to the McGraw-Hill, when you get to those labs, you just click on them, start the lab, and do the lab, and there's no way you can mess it up. So, like, definitely take the time and read. Definitely take the time and read the like the beginning, like the intro, because that tells you everything you need to know to answer all the questions in the lab. So there'll be like an intro page with a bunch of info on it. Definitely read that. Okay, so that's all I have to say about labs. Study skills. The most important thing, especially for the lecture portion, is use the note sheets. Okay, those correlate directly with the exams and the quizzes. And then engage in our study group discussion. So if you have questions, right, post in that discussion group. You're getting participation points when you do so, and you're helping your fellow students. And then ask me clarifying questions. So if you have a question about an assignment or when something's due or if you're doing it right, just text me. You got my phone number. Just be polite about it and not 2 a.m. Okay? All right. And then you can make note cards from your note sheets, right, to quiz yourself. You can also do that. So, and then if you have any disabilities that are documented and protected by the ADA, or if you're pregnant or protected by Title IX, please contact the Disability Resources, DRS, and then I give you a phone number for that. And if you're having trouble accessing any of these course materials due to a disability, please contact me. Everyone should have equal access to this course. Okay. You're definitely going to need internet, and you're definitely going to need a computer for this course. Duh, it's online. So you're going to need that. I would recommend having something with like a word processor, Excel-like functions. And then you're also going to need your MCC email. Use your MCC email for this course, please. And then Canvas. Academic dishonesty. So online classes are a little bit easier to be dishonest about your academics, right? But tell the truth and be transparent in everything you do. It's painful, right? But it's definitely worth it. So I've studied a lot of psychology, read a lot of books from people that have studied psychology more than me, and they all have one thing in common, and that's that people who are dishonest, who tell lies a lot, messes up their head because part of their subconscious reality is that they're taking in information about the world and they're trying to order it and put it into a belief structure that operates and can help them predict into the future. And when they tell lies, it disrupts that belief structure and it literally causes like schizophrenia and mental health issues. So please tell the truth. Be honest in your work. Getting a good grade on something in this, like I've been around for a while now. I'm almost 40. So getting a good grade on something, this isn't grade school. It doesn't matter. It's not worth sacrificing your integrity for it. It's going to hurt you in the long run because even if you cheat to get through like, the stuff in college and then you get into med school or something, right? It's going to come back to bite you in the butt because you didn't learn the concepts. You're in college because these are things that you're actually have to use and apply to get into med school, to get into your vet tech programs, to get into that stuff, right? So it's not worth sacrificing your personal integrity just to get in. And a fun little picture from last Halloween. Kudos if you can guess what we are. We're a pirate family. No. Captain Hook, Peter Pan. I think my wife was Wendy. No, not Wendy. I forget. The little Native American girl that gets kidnapped in that movie. And then Avery, my youngest, is a lost boy. So cool. Good talking to you guys. I'll post this video real soon, and I'll see you on the next one.